prepare our okra soup, we would be needing the following ingredients. So I've got here my grounded ogbono. I've got my cleaned dry fish. I've got my onion chunks. I've got pepper, dried red pepper here. I've got my salt to taste. I've got my stockfish chunks. I've got my okra, which has been nicely chopped. I've got my ugu leaf. This is dried ugu leaf, so I'll be blanching it for 1 minute to get it softer before putting it into the soup. I've got my grounded crayfish here. I'll be using 3 bell peppers and 3 scotch bonnets as well for my soup. I've got my proteins here. So I've got my momo here. I've got my beef and my chicken. So these are the ingredients I'll be using to prepare our okra soup today. So what I'm going to be doing next is to boil my chicken and my beef. So I'm going to add the beef and the chicken into a pot, and I'll be adding in some crayfish. I'll be putting in some onions. I'll also be putting in my pepper. I'll be adding in some of this, and I'll be using the rest to fry. I'll put in some salt to taste, and I'll be using the rest later on. I'm going to boil my meat for 45 minutes, or rather I'll steam it for 45 minutes until it brings out its own juice before I add in some water and leave to boil. So guys, I've got my assorted meat nicely combined here. I added in the dry fish and the stockfish in as well so that they could steam together, and I didn't add any water. So the water in this meat is the stock gotten from the meat. So the meat produces its own water, and that's what we have here. And this would give you a very rich and tasty stock, thereby making your soup very tasty as well. So in the pot, I added 1 cup of palm oil. This is because I don't use a lot of palm oil to cook. And then I added in my blended pepper into the pot as well. And I have fried it for about 5 minutes. So next, what I'm going to be doing is I'll add in some crayfish and stir. I'll also be adding in some stock now and stir. The next thing I'll be adding now is my okra, and I'll be adding it and allowing it to fry a little bit. I'll be allowing it also incorporate with the pepper to boost the color of the soup. So this is what I'm doing. However, everyone does it differently. But doing it this way gives you a very colorful soup. Gives the soup a very nice and rich color. So I'm just frying my okra and mixing it up with the pepper a little bit. And I'm not going to do this too much. After 2 minutes, I'm just going to be adding my stock into the pot. So I'm adding my stock now into the pot. I cook with a lot of meat, so the meat has even swallowed the okra soup. However, don't worry, by the time I combine it nicely, you will see how it will come out. I'm also going to be adding in some ogbono. So it's a very, very rich soup with lots of meat in it. So I like having my okra soup with a lot of assorted meats in them. So the next thing to do, I've put my ogbono in some hot water and I'm just going to be adding it into the soup, and I'll be leaving it to boil on low heat for 10 minutes. So this is 10 minutes later. I'm just going to add my ugu leaf. So this ugu leaf was blanched, so I used hot water to wash it for about 2 minutes. I left it to soak in the hot water for 2 minutes, and it's always good to use a sieve under a bowl to do this, because it will help to, you know, sieve out the sand and wash off any particles or dirt in the leaf. So this was done for about 2 minutes, and I ran cold water to stop the cooking process. And this is what it looks like. It looks as fresh as a fresh ugu leaf looks. So I'm just going to be adding it and stirring. So I'm just going to stir this together. And putting leaf is optional. So some people do not like putting any leaf in their okra soup. However, I feel like I add more nutrients by adding in my green vegetables into it. So if you do not have ugu, you could use your spinach leaves, or you could use your kale leaves to replace the ugu leaf, and it comes out and tastes just the same. And that's we done with our soup. So I'm just going to allow this to boil for another 10 minutes, and then our soup is ready.